I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, American Patriots, and welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight, but you chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you for joining tonight the enemy of the far left and many Democrats. And at the rate we're going, many Republicans too. I don't really care if you're a Democrat or a Republican or conservative or a liberal. We send you to Washington, D.C. to represent we the people. You're up there for your own personal reasons and pocketing money and making yourself into a millionaire, which is all the rhinos, then there's a problem. And I like to talk about it. Folks, I pick stories that I believe are important for American patriots. Stories that typically you will not find on CNN or MSNBC or any of the liberal media. You will find it on Fox News, although Fox News is slowly taking a dive off the deep end and following suit with CNN and MSNBC. But, and then I get some stories from local areas. We're going to talk about some police issues tonight, and that's specific in certain local areas. Although, again, a lot of what I talk about, you can go and see the article, or you can go see the video in some cases directly from the Fox News website. So, California, place you ought to be. So they loaded up the hunk of junk truck and moved to Beverly. That California, yeah, well, I used to live out in California. When I was in law enforcement, I worked out in California. I was with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. Also in the National Guard was out in California. And California's changed, like, pretty bad. And most of you know that. It's taken a very, very hard left turn. And the current governor, who everybody had a chance to get rid of, they didn't. And he's doing a great job of ruining that state. So he's put a lot of laws into place when we deal with the current things that are going on in society, such as that. And that's what this first story is about. It's very sad. And I hope that this family sues the living hell out of the state and the governor. Paramedics in Southern California refused to enter a hospice care facility, basically, is what it was, to treat a man that was in cardiac arrest last month because of, according to Ratello Police Department, body camera footage shows an officer arriving at the PostAcute Care Center on the evening of November 11th and greeting two paramedics from the fire department who were standing outside with their mask on. The first 30 seconds of the footage is muted, which is standard for many police cameras. But the officer wrote in his report that the paramedics were there for an unrelated patient and said that the facility was being problematic. Now, This is a very difficult story. Let's just keep on. I'm going to save my thoughts to the end. After a few moments, an unknown employee of the location yelled out to fire personnel, "Please come help. He's having cardiac arrest. He's having a heart attack," the officer wrote in the report. Fire personnel responded by insisting the patient had to be brought outside the facility before they could provide any sort of treatment due to an unspecified After about a minute, the officer went inside himself and was almost immediately greeted by frantic hospital staff. "They're not going to come in," the officer told the staff as he started to run to the room where the man was in full-blown cardiac arrest. "They're saying it's a state law that they cannot come in here." The officer then encountered multiple staff members performing CPR and other life-saving measures on the patient. The bed he was in did not have wheels, so the officer got behind the bed and pushed it out of the room and down the hall towards the opening of the facility. At the same time, telling the patient and those that are on the bed performing CPR, "You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Keep going." The officer told one exhausted staff member as she continued CPR. As the officer navigated the Willis bed through the hallways, they eventually came into view of the paramedics. Despite being in their line of sight, fire personnel still insisted on the patient be brought to them outside before they began life-saving efforts, and made no effort to assist me in getting the bed outside or the patient. Once they finally got the man outside, several other emergency medical personnel had arrived and started treating the man as one of the original paramedics peppered staff with administrative questions. The man was transferred to a local hospital where he died 30 minutes later. Because California has that says they can't go in a facility anymore. I don't know what that means. They can't go into your house. I don't know if it means they can't go into a restaurant. More to come on that. But I can tell you this much. Go watch the video tonight or tomorrow. It's on the Fox News website. And see for yourself how absolute crazy this is. What you're going to see is the body cam footage from the officer and the paramedics telling him that they cannot go in that facility. The patient has to come outside to them because of, if you're wondering why I'm doing this, it's because if I mention it, that I'm spreading false information, according to the gods at Google. While we're talking about California, this makes me happy, makes me feel really warm inside. Y'all did it to yourself, California. The number of people moving to California has significantly dropped since the pandemic started last year, while the number of people fleeing the state continues to rise, according to a new study. I guess I was a little bit surprised to see that interests had fallen so much. It wasn't so much that we saw it in a particular area. For me, the surprise was that this was a statewide phenomenon. Co-author of the study from California Police Lab, Evan White, told KCRA. The study found a 38% decrease in people moving to California at the end of September 2021 compared to the end of March of 2020. The study also found a 12% increase in residents moving out of the state. Now, as this story makes me happy, I do hope that those that are leaving the state are conservatives and Republicans. Leave that state to the liberals and Democrats to become just another shithole. White noted that while the spike from the state is notable, the drop in people moving to the state is the bigger story. He said the biggest change were in San Francisco Bay Area. There was a 45% decrease in those moving to the Bay Area and a 12% increase in residents leaving for other states. Sacramento County, home to the state's capital, saw a 33% decrease of people moving in and a 13% increase in people leaving for other states. Overall, all regions of the state saw anywhere from a 25% to a 45% decline in out-of-state entries. Governor Gavin Newsom's office did not respond when Fox News requested comment on the study. The study comes after the state had some of the most strict in the country, which helped spark a recall effort against Newsom earlier this year. The recall ultimately failed to oust the Democrat governor. This year, California also lost one of its 53 House seats for the first time in its history due to the stall in the population increase. California is the capital of homelessness and poverty, suffocating gas and income tax rates, and the highest number of residents picking up and moving to more affordable and welcoming states, GOP Party Chairman Jessica Millen Patterson said in a statement. Californians will have one less voice to speak for us in Washington, which provides yet again that it's time for change and real leadership. Because of people not coming in and people leaving for her district, she lost. Companies such as Tesla has officially moved out of California and moved to Texas, with experts weighing in that tax incentives and that getting employees is much cheaper and easier in Texas. Yeah, especially if you're South Texas on the border. Well, Disney also announced this year it would move 2,000 employees from California to Florida, in part because Florida's business-friendly climate. Chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences and Productions, Josh D'Amaro, said this past July. Celebrities have also exited California, including tattoo artist Kate Von D, who moved her family and business from Los Angeles to rural Indiana. California's total population fell more than 182,000 in 2020, according to a report from the California Department of Finance released this past May. The numbers don't lie. People are leaving our state because it's not affordable to live here, and the laws are crazy. One-party rule has made it almost impossible to raise a family, tweeted Kevin Forcorner, the former mayor of San Diego. Again, I hope that all of those that are leaving are conservatives and Republicans and leave it to everybody else to continue to destroy it. Happiness was seeing California in my rear view mirror. I didn't leave anything behind. Well, I take that back. I've got some very good friends that are still there that I love dearly. And I wish they would move. Missouri. State of Missouri. Any of y'all from Missouri? A Missouri school district has been ordered to pay, are you ready for this? A former student $4 million after it was ruled that the district discriminated against the student because the student was transgender and not allowed to use the boys' restroom. A jury in Jackson County, Missouri, ruled on Monday, yesterday, that Blue Springs School District discriminated against a transgender student by not letting him use the boys' restroom or locker rooms at several schools, including the middle school and the freshman center. In 2014, the family of R.J. Appleberry, the student, filed a lawsuit against the Blue Springs School District after the district allegedly blocked him from using the boys' bathroom and locker room, according to Fox 4 out of Kansas City. The article states that the student transitioned from female to male at the age of 9 years old. According to the lawsuit, after amending his birth certificate in 2014, he was still denied access to the boys' restrooms and locker rooms and several schools, including Delta Woods Middle School and the Freshman Center. In total, the jury awarded $175,000 to the former student in compensation damages, in addition to $4 million in punitive damages, and the plaintiff has also requested that the school district cover the attorney fees as well. A spokesman for the Blue Springs School District said that they disagree with the verdict and will be seeking appropriate relief from the trial court and Court of Appeals if necessary. Thank you for standing up to this crap. In 2019, the Missouri Supreme Court ruled that lawsuits claiming discrimination based on sex and sex stereotypes are allowed legally, which allowed the lawsuit against Blue Springs School District continue after being dismissed by a Jackson County Circuit Court. At the time, attorneys for the student said that their case was the first of its kind that was taken up by the Missouri Supreme Court. As it covers sex discrimination and does include the possibility for the person to prove that they were discriminated against based on their sex because of gender stereotyping and gender stereotypes, Madeline Johnson said, which is what we alleged in the case RMA versus Blue Spring R4 School District. I will refrain from making further comments, but I can hear you yelling at your TV, at your iPhone, at your iPad, at your computer, however you're watching this show tonight. The Chicago Police Department. God, I've done so many stories on Chicago and all of the horrible things that have happened to that once great state. The Chicago Police Department is conducting an internal investigation into a sergeant who voiced her support for the formation of a Turning Point USA chapter at an area high school. Chicago Police Department Sergeant Amy Kissman, who's also the 41st Ward Republican committeeman in Chicago, voiced her support for the potential creation of this chapter at William Howard Taft High School in Chicago on December 9th, stating on Facebook that several brave students are creating the high school chapter of the conservative group. Some brave students will be creating this chapter of Turning Point USA tomorrow at William Howard Taft High School, which is located on the northwest side of Chicago in the 41st Ward. I could not be more proud of them, she said on her personal Facebook page. Kissam went on to say that conservatives in Chicago are often called Nazis, white supremacists, and outright racist. I am certain these students realize that this will almost certainly be scrutinized by the administration at this school, which seems to embrace the Marxist views of a substantial amount of the Chicago Teachers Union members, she continued. Following making this post, a Chicago police Department spokesperson confirmed to Fox News that she is now under internal investigation into her alleged involvement in the formation of this Turning Point chapter. The spokesperson declined to give any more details, citing the active investigation. You know, it's not like you guys don't have enough problems there. It's the highest black on black crime in the United States of America. It ranks up there in the top 5 as the most people murdered in general in the United States of America. Your state is going to shit, Illinois, and Chicago leads it. Kissman previously told the Chicago Sun-Times that she heard about the potential chapter through her daughter, who is a student at the school. One day, after making the post on Facebook, Melissa Hayes, the assistant principal at William Howard Taft High School, tweeted that the administration was concerned with the student organization. We are disturbed to learn that an organization promoting radical intolerance has been associated with our school, she tweeted. We are a community built on respect and inclusion, and one that rejects any organization that would seek to discriminate on the basis of race, religion, gender, disability, sexual orientation, or anything else. All student organizations must align with the Taft mission statement, which is to educate global citizens to create a better world. Please note that the staff and administration at Taft will never tolerate the formation of any group that does not support these values. Well, guess what, madam? You don't support what you just said in your tweet. Neither does your school board. There are so many of you that are racist bigots against conservatives and Republicans, and you make no bones about it. Kissman told Fox News that the Chicago Police Department did not notify her about the internal investigation and said she was not on duty when making the Facebook post in support of the chapter. She added that the post was made in her personal capacity. She believes that the investigation by the Chicago Police Department is absolutely an attack on her free speech and said that since she's been involved in politics, more complaints have been filed against her. Well, when you live in a city that's run by leftist radicals, I would say this is what you get. They try to cancel you, and if you have any kind of opposition that differs from theirs, the chapter is a conservative student organization that has established over 1,000 chapters across 50 states, according to their website. The organization also has chapters at high schools all around the country. You're allowed to have Democrat organizations in schools and colleges, liberal organizations in schools and colleges. You ban conservatives and Republicans from coming and speaking to students. You guys need to look in the mirror. You are the problem with this country. And the sad part is, you're educating our students. A Baltimore police officer is on life support tonight after being shot in an ambush-style attack while sitting in her patrol car. She's finally been identified. Baltimore police identified the officer on Thursday as Kanoa Holy and said that police received a call about a car crash around 1:35 a.m. and found that Holly's patrol vehicle had crashed, and she had suffered life-threatening gunshot wounds. Authorities believe the officer accelerated from a rested position and crashed after being shot. Officers at the scene performed first aid and transported her to the University of Maryland Medical Center, where she is currently on life support in critical condition and will probably die, sadly. These are injuries that are going to evolve over some time. If she does recover, Dr. Thomas Seclay of University of Maryland Shock Trauma Department said in a Thursday press conference, "This is not going to be a quick fix." Holly reportedly picked up the Wednesday night shift to work overtime in one of the city's most dangerous areas. Holly has served on the force for 2 years, and her sister, fighting back tears, said at the press conference that it was her lifelong goal to work for the Baltimore City Police Department. "The person who did this to my sister, you are a coward," she said. She went on to say, "She is stronger than you will ever be." A vehicle of interest has been identified, and a reward of $118,000 is being offered to help find the person who did this. The shooting of Officer Holly comes as crime continues to surge in the city of Baltimore. Baltimore has recorded a total of, are you ready for this? 322 homicides so far this year. And we still have a couple of weeks to go. Baltimore has recorded 322 homicides, according to police data, and online statistics show that homicides were up 3% last month from the same time the previous year. Homicides, carjackings, aggravated assaults, bank robberies have all increased compared to the same time last year. "We've got to do better in this city," she said. "Baltimore, we are killing ourselves. It should not be like this. At some point, the city has to turn around, not just for my sister, for all the lost souls we've had this year. My sister is fighting for her life and will continue to fight with her and for her." And I can assure you that all of us at the Douglas Ducote Show, with the exception of the trolls that pop in every now and then, will keep your sister in our thoughts and prayers. And we do pray that she has a recovery. And we also pray that the person responsible is caught and brought to justice. Anybody from Arizona? How about Yuma? I've been there a few times in the military. Local law enforcement officials described themselves as overwhelmed after a surge of illegal immigrants passed through the border city last week. More than 6,000 people crossed through Yuma. Hundreds of illegal immigrants are crossing through a gap in the unfinished border wall. The sheriff's office, the Arizona National Guard, and families in Yuma are all concerned about the unprecedented number of people crossing illegally. "The best way I can describe the border right now is chaos, absolute chaos," said Major Eben Bratcher, Operations Chief of the Yuma County Sheriff's Office. Colonel Matthew Stubbs said the surge of immigrants is the largest he's ever seen in his career. "This is going on 24 hours a day," adds Yuma resident Dennis Cook. "Since October of this year, Customs and Border Protection reported close to 22,000 illegal immigrants just in the Yuma sector. That's a 2,647% increase from this time last year when Donald Trump was the president of the United States." The Yuma County Sheriff's Office received dozens of calls each day relating to illegal immigration, some from the illegal immigrants themselves. They've called 911. They've showed up and are sitting on the border like they're told, waiting for their ride. After hours and hours, and sometimes a day or more goes by, they get frustrated, and they get scared, and they get hungry, and they get thirsty, and they start calling 911. Major Bretcher says staffing is a challenge. At any given time, I might have 3 dispatchers answering all of the calls that come into our office. If they're tied up handling 911 calls, that wouldn't be happening otherwise. Your 911 call because of a vehicle accident or something other than that, more serious, might ring a few extra times, and that's scary. Cook's backyard overlooks the unfinished border wall. He sees the crossings every day and knows just how overwhelmed Border Patrol is. There's times when I call Border Patrol and Border Patrol says, we can't do anything. We're totally overwhelmed right now. We can't do anything with them. Since I've been on camera here, I bet you I've seen 20 people already crossing. Yuma's mayor issued a local emergency, and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey deployed the National Guard. The problem is just too large. So many are coming through, and that's why we're here, Stubbs said. Pregnant women and young children are making this trip too. Some of the immigrants explain why they came to the U.S. for a better life for my daughter, my son, myself, an unborn child. One immigrant from Brazil said. An immigrant from Venezuela is looking for a better quality of life because he can no longer be that in his own country. And that's unfortunate what is happening over there. But this is what's happening in America. We're being overrun. Between last Friday, and Tuesday, Border Patrol stopped 2,600 people crossing illegally. Now, think how many people they didn't catch. Numbers are down significantly from last week, which was around the same time that the Biden administration reinstated the Trump's administration remain in Mexico policy, only after a court ruled they had no choice. Under the Trump-era policy, known officially as the Migrant Protection Protocol, asylum seekers are required to remain in Mexico until their court date. The surge in illegal immigration is also a health issue. We have one hospital here, and with people coming across, they're coming with all sorts of conditions that then fill up our hospital, Yuma Mayor Douglas Nichols said. He also said the farming industry. Yuma supplies 90% of the country's lettuce during the winter. It's not uncommon for border crossers to make their way through the fields, damaging crops. Despite the border crisis, the mayor says Yuma is safe. There's no hesitation for me living in Yuma with my family, he said. It's just we have a different dynamic. We need to make sure we're staying on top of it, and that's what we're attempting to do. With no help at all from the federal government. And don't expect it to happen anytime soon. Just like all those that just were told in the middle of America where the tornadoes went through and destroyed and killed, we don't even know how many people have died yet. It could be hundreds. By the time they're finished pulling all the debris out, they were told that, the federal government's coming in to help. FEMA's going to be there. No. Let me tell you who's going to help. I know this because here in Louisiana, we had 2 back-to-back hurricanes, Laura and Delta, within a 38-day period, and it freaking turned this city into what looked like an atomic bomb went off. And then we had a massive flood. You want to know who came and helped us? We did. The people did. Conservatives and Republicans did. Church groups, different nonprofit organizations band together and came down here to feed people, to bring water, supplies, you name it. You want to know what the federal government did for Louisiana? Pay attention. This is what they did. And that's what they're going to do to everybody that's affected by these tornadoes. It's sad. It's pathetic. And look, I'm not picking on this current administration for it. I was there when President Trump came to Lake Charles and said, we are sending the federal government in here to help you guys. Of course, then he got out of office. And I was there when Biden came and said, we are coming in here full force with the federal government to help you. Didn't happen. Right now, over a year later, well over a year later, at least a quarter of the infrastructure of Lake Charles in Southwest Louisiana has not been repaired. This place is still devastated. Every fifth house in every neighborhood, well, not every neighborhood, let me back up. In the rich neighborhoods, their shit's fixed. But for the rest of those in this Southwest Louisiana, all you see is blue tarps because their insurance companies did this. I've got a lawsuit right now against mine for $1.2 million because of what they did to us. Speaking of the federal government, I've done, well, everybody knows where I stand on abortion. All right. And I've done videos on that, and I've talked about it in depth. And right now, we have the Supreme Court once again looking at Roe versus Wade and looking at, excuse me, 1 second. I can do without that. Thank you. My wife just turned on a fan down here that she thought would help me.
You're hot.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
But the fan was making too much noise. So Texas, for instance, passed a law that says you can't do an abortion after X amount of weeks. All right. Other states are doing the same thing. I believe in Mississippi, Alabama. I think Florida's done it as well. And the federal government's under the Biden administration, the liberals and Democrats are upset about this shit because now it's at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court has already ruled that Texas can continue to do what they're doing while arguments are heard. So what do you think the federal government has stepped in to do in the event that they lose? You're going to love this shit. The federal government permanently lifted a major restriction on access to the abortion pill. It will allow patients to receive the medication by mail instead of requiring them to obtain the pills in person from a certified health provider. The decision by the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, comes as the Supreme Court is considering whether to roll back abortion rights or even overturn its landmark 1973 decision in Roe versus Wade that make abortion legal nationwide. The FDA's action means that medication, abortion, an increasingly common method authorized in the United States for pregnancies up to 10 weeks gestation, will become more available to women or girls who find it difficult to travel to an abortion provider or prefer to terminate a pregnancy in the privacy of their own homes. It allows patients to have a telemedicine appointment with a provider who can prescribe abortion pills and send them to the patient by mail. Earlier this year, for the duration of the pandemic, the FDA temporarily lifted the in-person requirement. For the first time, the two drugs used to end pregnancy. The decision to make the change permanently is likely to deepen the already polarized divisions between conservatives and liberal states on abortion. In 19 states, mostly in the South and the Midwest, telemedicine visits for medication abortions are banned, and these and other conservative states can be expected to pass other laws to further curtail access to the abortion pill. Yet other states like California and New York, which have taken steps in recent years to further solidify abortion rights, are expected to increase the availability of the method and provide opportunities for women and girls in states with restrictions to obtain the abortion pills by traveling to a state that allows them. It's really significant, said Mary Zingler, a law professor at Florida State University. Telehealth abortions are much easier for both providers and patient, and even in states that want to do it. There have been limits on how available it is. So far this year, presumably the anticipation of such a decision, 6 states ban the mailing of pills. 7 states pass laws requiring pills to be obtained in person from a provider, and 4 states pass laws to set the limit on medication abortions at earlier than 10 weeks, said Elizabeth Nash, the interim associate director for state issues for the Guttmarch Institute. I think that's how that's pronounced. I've never heard of that before. Guttmacher, a research organization that supports abortion rights. The current practice is that women who live in states that don't allow telemedicine for abortion must travel to states that do. Although they don't have to visit a clinic, they may be in any location within the state for their telehealth visit, even a car, and may receive the pills at any address in the state. The legal experts said they expect supporters of the abortion rights to try to find ways to make the pills available without requiring the patient to travel at all, including possibly filling out legal challenges to states' laws banning telemedicine for abortion. In data released last month by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, 42% of all abortions and 54% of abortions before 10 weeks occurred with medication in 2019, the most recent year for which CDC data is available. The report represents most of the country, but does not include data from California, Maryland, and New Hampshire. In 2020, some states, including Indiana, Kansas, and Minnesota, the method accounts for the majority of abortions, according to state health department reports. The CDC also reported that 79% of all abortions occurred before 10 weeks, suggesting that there are many more women and girls who might choose abortion pills over going to a clinic and having the procedure done. Medication abortion, a 2-drug regimen, was approved in the United States in 2000. The FDA imposed restrictions on the first drug, requiring that it be dispensed in clinics or hospitals by certified providers who must sign an agreement to obtain the patient's signature on a form acknowledging that their provider has informed them about the drug's side effects and what could possibly happen and how you could possibly die in the middle of this process. The rules allow patients to take the medication in their homes or anywhere they choose, making it the only drug that the agency requires patients to obtain in person from a medical provider, but are not required to take under medical supervision. The second drug, which is taken up to 48 hours after the first, has long been obtainable with a regular prescription at a pharmacy. Mainstream media organizations and abortion rights groups have long urged the government to ease restrictions on the drug, citing data indicating that the drug is effective and safe, including when dispensed by mail. So, I'm not going to finish reading that story because it makes me sick. I will say this. It's typical Democrat for you. They're all for killing babies. That's why they won't say all lives matter, because they don't. So I'll tell you what, to all of you, and especially the Catholics, like Nancy Pelosi, for instance, that are for abortion and Planned Parenthood, anyone, I don't care what your political party is, anyone who supports abortion, here's what you do. You go up to your mother, the person that gave birth to you, and you thank them for not being somebody like you. Can you do that? Will you do that? No. No, you won't. Because you're a bunch of hypocrites. You're okay with killing something that has a heartbeat inside a woman's body. You're okay with that. I don't understand how anyone can be okay with taking the life of a baby that has already started forming, that has eyes and ears and a nose, legs, arms, and a beating heart. But the left and the Democrats are all for it. For the most part, I've stayed out of that debate. And it wouldn't have been for this story that I thought was very important that you hear, I wouldn't have been talking about abortion at all tonight. I will say this much. Everyone, regardless of political party, needs to go do your research on Planned Parenthood and its reasoning behind being started and what it was founded for. Let me give you a hint. It was to kill black babies, eradicate the black race. Look it up. Folks, you had many places you could be tonight, but you chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you. Please share the videos that I put out. If you haven't already done so, please go to DouglasDucote.com, check out the website, check out the cool stuff that we have for sale there. Christmas is right around the corner, and maybe a gift for a family member that says the Douglas Ducote Show on it, or even a member that's a liberal to piss them off, or wear it to your Christmas gathering if you're going to have one this year. Don't forget to wear your mask, and don't invite anybody there to your Christmas gathering unless they can show you a card that says they've received the JJ. Yeah. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, especially the one we talked about tonight, their families, first responders, our angel families, and our blue and gold star families in our country. May God bless the United States of America. And I believe we need God's blessing more today than any time in our history. Thank you all for joining me tonight. I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed night and upcoming weekend. Unless something breaks between now and then, I won't be back until I do the show on Tuesday night. Right now, it's still going to be done on this channel, unless it gets taken down by YouTube like the other one did. I will add a little personal note. If you haven't already checked this out, go to the community section and look at the far left liberal that was trolling me on Twitter, oh, he got removed. Now he's only going to come back. We know that. He'll make up another channel and start continuing it, just like some of those other idiots do on YouTube and other social media sites. But that only means that we're over the target and we're getting our message out there. And that's a good thing. I laugh at them. Now, when they talk about my family and they say negative things and horrible things about my special needs son and my wife, that's fighting words. And they're not man enough to say it to my face. They know where I'm at. They know how to find me. Hell, come up to me at one of the speaking engagements I do and tell me to my face the things that you type hiding behind a computer screen about my son and my wife. Tell me that to my face. Never going to happen. But if it does, you're right. I will go to jail. But I can guarantee you, I'll be out of jail before you're out of intensive care. That's a damn promise. Because I don't play that. Attack me all you want. Go after me, other conservatives, Republicans, President Trump. Doesn't matter. We laugh at that shit. But when you go after our families, that's wrong. And it shouldn't happen anywhere. But sadly, it does. Take care, everyone. God bless you. And I'll see you soon.